Welcome to Lagos Parliament. I am Abimbola Agbebi. An eventful week it was for lawmakers in the Lagos State House of Assembly as the House Committee on Education continued its inspection of schools in the state. This time, Ijaniki and Badagry areas of the state remain the focus. But we'll try to squeeze all that into the next 25 minutes. But let's start off with deliberations on the floor of the House. There is so much happening in the lawmaking business than what you think you know. Here in the Lagos Parliament, we track happenings within and outside the hallowed chambers, bringing you every detail you need to know about the state legislature. On Lagos Parliament, you get a chance to meet the lawmaker of the week. Events are critically reviewed. You can also observe plenary in Yoruba language. I am Abimbola Agbebi. Join me every Thursday at 9:30 p.m. as I take you through the activities of the Lagos Legislature. Lagos Parliament, bringing the legislature closer to you.
Right, Honorable Speaker, distinguished Honorable Members, with a kind permission.
Today's proceedings at the Lagos State House of Assembly kicked off with deliberations on the Legislative Service Commission Amendment Bill 2018, which was passed by the House on Friday, the 26th of April 2019. But the bill is yet to be assented to by the State Governor.
Mr. Speaker, the report is ready for presentation. To do the presentation, may I move that the House resolve to committee of the whole. Mr. Speaker, I so move.
Report of the 7-man ad hoc committee on the Lagos State House of Assembly Legislative Service Commission Amendment Bill 2020 1.0 Preamble. The House, at its plenary session of Tuesday, 11th August 2020, set up a 7-man ad hoc committee to consider the Lagos State House of Assembly Legislative Service Commission Amendment Bill 2018, passed in April 2019 and was not attended to by Mr. Governor. The committee was mandated to reflect the latest development on the full autonomy granted to the state legislature in the country. In line with Order 12, Procedure on Bills, Rule 93, outstanding bills from the preceding assembly of the harmonized rules and standing orders of the House, which states member bills passed by the preceding assembly and forwarded to the governor for assent, but for which assent or withholding thereof was not communicated before the end of the tenure of the assembly. At such bill, upon being regazetted or clean copy circulated, be reconsidered in committee of the whole without commenced de novo. Consequently, the committee engaged the chairman, commissioners, secretary, and administrative staff of the Lagos State House of Assembly Service Commission on the subject. 2.0 Observations. 4.0 The invited stakeholders commended the House for its proactiveness and expressed the need to amend the existing law to accommodate new development. The following observations were raised for the consideration of the committee. Section 4, tenure of office of commission members be amended. 2. Section 5, cessation from office, subsection 1 be amended and redrafted. 3. Section 8, secretary to the commission be amended and redrafted. 4. Section 10, subsection 2 with the side note, powers and functions of the commission. Create a new section 2D to read, in exercising powers to make appointments or exercise disciplinary control over persons, the commission shall not be subjected to the direction or control of any authority or person.
This is coming months after the federal government granted state legislatures in the country financial autonomy. The House wants the bill to reflect the latest development, backed by the full autonomy granted to the legislature by the Constitution.
The report, especially when you look at the one that talks about having deputy clerk, deputy matters, deputy clerk publications and the likes, it is very good, and I think it's in good faith. It's going to encourage our own here, and it's going to be a form of reward for service. And when you look at that with what is happening in the real civil service, you appreciate the fact that they too need to be moved up, and having permanent secretary status is a welcome idea. Ditto all other ones that borders on stating how they will relate and their terms of office. Mr. Speaker, more importantly is the fact that in tandem with the autonomy granted by Mr. President, all we have here is basically in terms with that House of Assembly should be indeed autonomous.
Subsection 2, where we have the chairman and members of the commission shall hold office for a term of 5 years, okay, and may be reappointed for a further term of 5 years only. Now, going to page 5, sir, where it says the clerk shall hold office for a period of 4 years. I was thinking, sir, in recent times, what we've always been doing is 5 years. I was wondering, why can't we have 5 years for the clerk, number one? And coupled with the fact that we agree that the clerk is the equivalent of a PS. I want to think that, one, in most cases, PS don't have time limit, but even if we are saying the clerk should, the clerk, if we can have 5 years tenure, I think at least that would be uniformity with the commission, instead of having 5 for the commission and having 4 for the clerk.
Saddled with the responsibility of achieving this was a 7-man ad hoc committee set up by the House to effect the changes in the bill. After the bill was committed to the committee, here is its report before the House.
It's a good report. At least, if you look at it, it gives a staff opportunity to move higher along the strata, and it makes the center not to be too competitive, because everybody wants to get to the peak of his career. And what really interests me most is the appointment of the acting clerk. And when it's no more there, the speaker appoints, subject and in consultation with the principal officers. And if you look at the deputy clerk, in the old law, it was the clerk that appointed the deputy speaker. And in that case, if the clerk did not like the face of an officer from any of the units, the clerk will never recommend such person. But where the speaker now look at the merit, the capability of each of the staff working with him, and pick deputy speakers in the directorates in consultation with the principal officer and subject to the simple majority, I think it will enhance performance. It will make people to work without any encumbrances and without necessarily have to lick the boots of whoever the clerk is. So I feel this is a good one and it's good to go.
After the consultation with the principal officers of the House and ratified by simple majority present and voting, Mr. Speaker, to me and my colleagues, I believe the position of the secretary of a board, in as much they are a civil servant, I think we need to be careful putting such a thing in a law that the member should be voting for such a person before he become a secretary of a board. So I think we should look in that direction, sir. Then going to page 5 also, the issue of the clerk, that a clerk will be using a 4 years term in office and another opportunity of appointing him as a Mr. Speaker, also we need to be careful also.
The one suggesting that the directors should enjoy the same, I don't think that is acceptable. A director is a director. So when you attain the level of PS, fine, it's understandable. But we are not saying the privilege enjoyed by the PS will be applicable to those on director cadre. Well, I think it's going to be a difficult one. So there's nothing differentiating between the director and the. So we should look at that recommendation and make a director. Let director be a director. So when you are within director cadre, as asked, it also says anybody within director cadre can be appointed to be a PS or clerk or anything. That is just, at least it happens in Main Street, where 15 officers have been appointed as permanent secretaries.
After thorough deliberations, the committee's recommendations were adopted as the resolution of the House.
Such regulation must be subjected to
Yes, sir.
Lagos State regulation approval law.
Yeah,
so
is
when
there-
they come up with the regulation, they will always come back to seek approval. I think with that amendment,
Yes,
we are good.